This is your First Alert Weather Breakdown, a deep dive into how weather works with meteorologist Evan Thomason.
Welcome all to the First Alert Weather Breakdown show. I'm meteorologist Evan Thomason here for the start of your Monday morning, or hopefully we make your Mondays just a little bit brighter. Lots of sunshine, at least around for this morning. Maybe not the case for the afternoon entirely. We'll see. We got a few storms that could roll around that forecast here in just a little bit. But anyways, welcome on. Let me introduce myself for those of you just joining us for the first time. I'm meteorologist Evan Thomason here in the podcast center and here at KSLA News 12. Joining us for First Alert Weather Breakdown as your host here. Essentially, we just go over the weather forecast in and of its full glorious detail. Because guess what? We can nerd out as much as we want on this podcast. When I'm on air, I'm restricted to only a few minutes, and I can't make the whole KSLA News show my entire weather show. But essentially, we can go on to the podcast, and we can explain the forecast at full length in detail on this platform. So here's what we're talking about. In addition to just going over local forecasts in great detail, which, by the way, just so you know, for our news show, we only have somewhere in the ballpark of like 3 minutes to talk about the full weather forecast. In this, we usually take 10 to 15 minutes, all right? We go over so many more graphics than what you see on a typical news show. We're going over to the nitty-gritty detail, storms, what weather, what we can expect really each and every little teeny day. I'm able to get out the full facts. I'm not rushing over my words as well. It's a little more oriented. I'm able to re-click my thoughts and, get everything out that I want to get out weather-wise, especially for those of you who want to nerd out with me. Anyways, let's take a look at what's on the docket here for today. I got a hot, humid forecast for you on the local forecast. On top of that, we usually have exclusive content, and we do have that again for today. Now, I'm going to admit today's exclusive content maybe not as exciting, riveting as others are, but it's still necessary nevertheless. We're going to give you some tips on how to beat the heat here in the ArkLaTex, especially now that summer's here, summer's settled, here's the heat, it's here for good. This is our fourth, kind of give you a summary of that to lead into our forecast here a little bit. This is the fourth straight day that we've had a heat advisory in place. And just so you know, the first of those days on that streak was last Friday. That was the first time all year we had a heat advisory in place. So, case in point, here's just gotten ramped up here, especially within the past week or so. It's going to be here for good. So now that heat has settled and kind of the dust has settled down and we're settled essentially into summer standards, now let's take the time to go once per year over what you need to know heat-wise. We kind of went over this briefly in a Met chat a little bit while ago, 2-3 weeks ago, but now, especially since summer is here, essentially we're going to go over some tips and tricks on how to keep yourself cool. And I know you know how to do that, especially if you've lived in the ArkLaTex here for numerous years, yes, but it's always good to have a good sake of a reminder, and maybe you do learn something new. Or maybe you forgot something that would help you out down the road later this summer. Who knows? That's why we go over it. But anyways, let's go over the local forecast first and just tell you how hot it's still going to be over the next couple of days, shall we? All right. Live look outside. This is our beautiful camera out into Bossier City. Got a little bit of cloud cover around, but still lots of sunshine, lots of blue skies. That's still going to be dominating our forecast here for today. But I know if you look at that cloud cover in particular, yes, some of that is cumulus clouds. It's going to be, excuse me, some of those cumulus clouds are eventually going to build and grow, and some of that will lead into some storms here later on today. That's what we're watching out for and keep you first alert about heading later on into this afternoon. Into Texarkana we go. I'd say the cloud cover maybe a little less than what we just saw on that Shreveport Bossier camera, but overall pretty similar picture. Lots of sunshine, lots of blue skies, and still a little bit of cloud cover around. So, but for the day today, and you might not think about this heading out the door, especially based on how beautiful it is now and how beautiful the morning was. Don't forget an umbrella around town. You're going to need it. And if you, Evan, if you go at the end of the day, well, Evan, it didn't rain on my house, which it might not today. You might as well keep it handy because we got these afternoon storm chances cranking up here around the ArkLaTex each and every afternoon for a while to come. We'll take a look at that in the future track coming on up. But again, don't forget the umbrella on the way out the door. Temperatures really cranking up. 88 in Shreveport, 88 for Texarkana, 88 in Natchitoches, 84 in DeQueen. It's already 90 in Bienville. That does not count for the feels like temperature. Oh, man. Already up to the triple digits. We're going in Texarkana up to 109 in Bienville for feels like temperature already. 99 in Natchitoches, 98 in Shreveport. Coolest spot is 85 in Center, miraculously. 93 in DeQueen. But you get the point. It is steaming hot, and it's just past 10:30. We still are going to maintain those feels like temperatures way up there here for this afternoon. Here's our big setup before we get into any specifics when it comes to the temperatures and any specifics when it comes to the storm coverage. High pressure system to our east. That is what you want to stare at because that's what's keeping us dominant. That's what's dominating the ArkLaTex here over the next several days and has done so since last Friday. We have an impending cold front and a low pressure system. You can kind of see that with a lot more vast cloud cover out near Texas, Kansas, Nebraska, all the way up into Minnesota, that kind of area. This is a cold front that's going to be quickly turning into a stationary front, which means it's going to stand still way off to our west, which is going to monitor and keep most of the scattered and more widespread storm chances farther out to the west, which keeps us with lots more sunshine, which is good news. But unfortunately, we still have lots of humid air trapped here. And despite that high-pressure system trying to keep us mostly dry, we're still going to expect to see a few storms form each and every afternoon because of how incredibly hot it is and just by how incredibly humid it is. The combo of the two is what's leading to just spark a few storms each and every afternoon. So, again, that's why we're expecting only a few storms every afternoon rather than having them at any point in the day. But first, let's talk about how hot we're just going to get. 96 in Texarkana, 93 in Foreman, 92 in DeKalb, 94 in New Boston. Across East Texas further, 92 in Marshall, 91 in Center, 96 in Henderson, 95 in Shreveport, 94 in Natchitoches, 93 in Homer. Keep in mind, again, that only includes your actual temperatures. This afternoon feels like temperatures getting into the low 100s. Would not be surprised to even see some upper 100s. Hopefully below 110, but we'll see. We'll see. Feels like temperatures for tomorrow morning pretty similar to that of this morning, upper 70s, lower 80s, and then you get the picture. It's a carousel. It's an up and down consistent roller coaster that's going to last through the rest of the work week. I will say, if anything, temperatures actually do look to be falling just a little bit. Maybe by 5 degrees or so once we get into Thursday, but overall, you get the picture. It will still be H to the O to the T for a while to come. All right, so especially since we are staying that incredibly hot, we do have a heat advisory in place here for today. Again, as I said earlier, fourth straight day of dealing with the heat advisory in place. Now, as we find our feels like temperatures just slightly dropping, just a degree or two each day. Again, it's not going to be by that much, but it might be enough to cancel the heat advisory on one of the upcoming days. But overall, it's going to be hot, and I think we'll still be under that heat advisory here overall for most, if not all, of the rest of the work week ahead. So bear with me. Bear with me. It's summer, and summer's going to go streaking here in the ArkLaTex. All right, first our Doppler radar. It looks mostly clear for about 99% of the region. I'm looking at maybe a stray shower just popping up on the east side of Natchitoches. Now, keep in mind, most of these storms are sparked up by this daytime heating that is occurring in the afternoon. All the way through lunchtime, things look mostly good. There's the formation of maybe another cell or two anywhere else around the ArkLaTex. But overall, we keep ourselves mostly dry really until after lunch. 3 p.m., a number of more storms following suit and forming around the ArkLaTex. Granted, again, this is not a complete blanket of rain. Not only that, I'm expecting some heavy downpours, yes, but I'm not expecting the formation of anything severe weather-wise, like hail, strong winds, Not expecting anything too much in terms of that. Just expect a few little stray storms here and there to continue all the way through the evening commute. I will say the future track on today's storms looks to hold most of that storm chance actually in the southern half of the ArkLaTex. Then you get into Tuesday morning, kind of similar to this morning. Started off nice, mostly sunny. Hey, we're starting off good on the right note. And then once we get into the afternoon, more storms spark up. And I will say most of these look to be in the northern half of the ArkLaTex. So changing position just a little bit here for tomorrow afternoon. Up into Texarkana, a couple more storms there. Even Shreveport, though, in the southern half, still likely to get storms, maybe even into tomorrow night as well. And Wednesday, it's around the carousel we go. Although I will say this future track is held on to a less number of storms here for Wednesday, especially compared to that of today and tomorrow. So it might trend just a smidge bit drier here for the second half of this work week. All right, first alert, eye on the tropics. So everything around here is maintaining itself, which is good. Just so you know, I'll go ahead and give you the hint. We're going to speak more on tropics tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be our tropics forecast. I know we go once a week over that. And I could have done it today because there's actually pretty, I wouldn't say exciting, but there's more to talk about than just complete dry conditions across the Atlantic Ocean. We do have, and this developed very quickly over the weekend, an area of interest, which is in the Atlantic Ocean. Yes, in the Atlantic Ocean. This has a 70% chance of forming within the next, honestly, 24 to 48 hours. Now, it looks a little bit of a mess. It's just a long trail of moisture, and I will say, following suit from some of my colleagues here, this area of interest seems a little more disorganized when the last outlook for the chance of development came out, so I would not be surprised to actually see that chance of development drop at the next update, which should be coming out fairly soon. But overall, I'm giving about a 50-50 call on whether it's going to form. But everything else with the formation of this system is actually going in our favor because, number one, look at where this is. This is, A, nowhere close to us in Shreveport and Bossier. B, it shouldn't be hitting any landfall at all because not only is it in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, but it's continuing to move up north and east away from landfall, which is also good news. And C, if this does form, it's only expected to be a tropical storm for about 24 to 48 hours. It is going to be fighting lots of cold air and lots of shear way off adrift into the Atlantic Ocean. So it could form and briefly become Andrea, which is the first name of the Atlantic tropical season period. But again, if it forms, A, it's not going to hit us, and B, it will be incredibly short-lived. 7-day forecast now. Again, just 30% chance of storms here for today and tomorrow. That chance of storms does drop a little bit here for Wednesday and Thursday, but not by that much. Overall, I still have a chance of storms each and every day for the rest of the 7-day forecast. Still looking at a couple pop-up storms re-showing itself maybe for this coming weekend here for Saturday and Sunday. We'll keep you first alert about that the closer we get to that time frame. As of now, highs are still maintained in the mid-90s. Still got mostly sunny skies, especially in the morning hours. And then just watching out for a few pop-up afternoon thunderstorms that could happen each and every afternoon overall. Again, look to be more numerous storms for the afternoon here for today and tomorrow compared to the second half of the work week at least. But I'd still keep that umbrella handy with you just in case. All right, let's full look at your weather forecast. Again, if you have any questions, youtube.com, and you can visit our KSLA News 12 stream and ask a question live, which I can answer live. Pretty cool. Anyways, we're going to be going over heat precautions after a quick little break. Get myself a drink of water. And, yeah, I'll be back right after this to go over a good, healthy reminder here, especially for us in the ArkLaTex dealing with our heat. We'll be right back after this. Welcome on back to the first alert with a breakdown. Again, thanks for joining us for the full look at the local forecast. I know it's a little bland, mainly because we're kind of stuck in a repetitive motion. Essentially, what's happening, to go reiterate some points that we discussed here earlier, the high pressure system is essentially stuck in place. And when you have a high pressure system stuck in place, or just your overall weather pattern stuck, especially when it comes to the upper air analysis, when it comes to those high pressure systems and those low pressure systems, if they are stuck in one place, especially nearby the ArkLaTex, then guess what our weather is going to do? It's going to be stuck in place with the same weather conditions. And that pertains into both the temperatures and the skies as well here for us. So, again, spotty storms and lots of heat. Speaking of the heat, look, I know it's difficult to discuss because not only is it a little bland and, I guess a little boring when it comes to it, which I get it. It's still always a good reminder to help keep yourself cool and help provide yourself with some ways to beat the heat overall. And it's always something to be respected at the end of the day because, believe it or not, it's not storms themselves, it's not hurricanes, it's not tornadoes, but it is heat. That is unfortunately always the number one killer when it comes to weather, unfortunately, claiming innocent lives anywhere around the globe. It's always heat. Heat is silent killer, and it goes for anyone around the world. So we always want to keep you first alert. Make sure you're all good to go, okay? Stay hydrated. Stay cool. That's why we have these heat advisories always put in place, because heat advisories still mean that temperatures are even hotter in the ArkLaTex than what they're supposed to be here around for summer standards. So again, number one, stay hydrated. You got about 60%. You got about 60% chance of your body being filled up with water. Yeah, that's right. Your body is filled up with 60% water, essentially. So what's going to help replenish that? Well, water. Drinking plenty of it, especially some cool water. Maybe not some cold water. Cold water can shock the system, although you don't want hot water because that doesn't really settle down as easily, so to speak, and doesn't really cool you off per chance as much. Speaking of staying cool, take frequent breaks indoors or in the shade. The atmosphere has been giving us some breaks of shade themselves in the form of cloud cover, and we'll be doing that still over the next couple of days, and especially for those of you that do get underneath these rain showers. Now, these rain showers aren't going to be like a cool breeze in the park type beat, but it will be providing us some slightly cooler air, especially for those of you that do receive the rain that will be coming over the next couple of afternoons. Number 4, dress appropriately. Now, for those of you that always see my attire as me in a long-sleeve shirt, a long-sleeve collared shirt, and a tie, I immediately take this off pretty much as soon as I can. Not when I get into the car usually, although I will say I take off my tie in the car. The point is, not only do you want to get this all sweaty, but it's not the best attire. This is not the best attire to be going outside and doing chores with. So essentially, as soon as I get in my place, I stop whatever it is I'm trying to do, chore-wise, otherwise, exercise-wise, and I just immediately change into different clothes whenever I get home. So, again, don't forget 3 of those things. First Alert Weather app will also tell you specifics on just how hot it will be all around the ArkLaTex as well, okay? These are just ways to keep yourself cool. I will say the best thing to keep handy on top of all this, I wouldn't say handy, but just a little tip is to keep a little cold rag on the back of your neck, especially for those of you working outside. I know it helps. All right, so last thing I want to do in discussion is heat exhaustion and heat stroke, just in case you feel any of these symptoms, especially feeling faint or dizzy. That is a bad sign of a headache, which can lead to even worse of a headache. Now, if you have medicine, maybe take some of it, such as Advil, things that can help relieve your headache and help get your brain wrapped around and stuff like that. But heat exhaustion, especially when it comes to being faint, dizzy, or excessively sweating, that could go into the deep end to lead into other worse issues with you, which is not good, such as vomiting, such as a rapid or weak pulse, or even muscle cramps as well. Now, heat stroke is when all those things do become a lot worse, especially no sweating. No sweating is not what you want to see at all. Also, wear sunscreen. I think that goes without that goes pretty easily there. A rapid strong pulse as well. And yeah, it could lead to signs as bad as even losing consciousness as well, which is exactly what we don't want to see at all this year. I know one of the themes each and every year, and I'm hoping it doesn't happen this year, especially in the ArkLaTex, is hot car deaths as well. I do want to mention that. Remember, check your car every time you leave. This is the time of season for it. It doesn't even take that much time to turn a car into an oven. You know that, especially when you leave stuff off. So don't leave not only your family members in there, obviously, but pets too. Pets are included in family members anyways. So, yeah. And when it comes to your pets, I will say, I know Matt Jones does a good job of this as well because he's got his own dog, Benny. But pets, they got to walk their own paws on everything they touch. So if that concrete is blazing hot in the afternoon, it's not a good time to do that. So essentially, the only time you can walk your dog, or the only place you can walk your dog in the afternoon, pretty much in the grass only. Because that, oh man, that concrete, bare feet, bare paw to concrete, that is not fun. Not fun anywhere around the ArkLaTex. All right, hopefully you learned something new. Hopefully you recapped yourself on some things. Tomorrow, we're going to be going over our weekly Tropics segment. Again, that's going to be running weekly all the way through the end of Tropics season, which will be in, end of the Tropics season is the 1st of November. But still, obviously, a lot of time to get through. I know June and July are kind of the down periods for Tropics, but we haven't even seen a storm yet at all this year. And believe it or not, this is the latest start to a Tropics season since, I believe, 2014, which was over 11 years ago. Yes, the slowest start in 11 years to a Tropics season. That doesn't mean nothing's going to happen. Again, June and July are obviously the slow months. I mean, Beryl, we know that quite well. We were talking about Beryl right now. It was just forming about a year ago in the Atlantic Ocean, and it made obviously direct impact here on July 9th. But the point is that was only the B storm. So we'll see what happens with this system, and we'll see what else is tailored to it more. But I will say the fact that something is arising that we just discussed today that we'll go in greater detail with tomorrow, the fact that something is arising out of the system might mean the Tropics might awaken. All right? Still plenty of season, obviously, left to go. But we'll go over Tropics a whole lot more in depth for tomorrow. As for today, have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the sunshine, enjoy the blue skies. Just don't be surprised if you do get hit by a storm or two. All right, have a great rest of your day. I will see you again tomorrow, 10:30. Be there, be square, and most importantly, be weather aware. Have a great rest of your Monday. You got this. Enjoy the rest of your work week, too. Peace out.